Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. So this is a reading about the family scapegoat stepping into a season of blossoming, right? And so if you identify with being the family scapegoat, then you know what it is to be the person who is blamed for problems in your family, even when those problems are not your fault, right? You act as a means of deflecting attention away from whatever the real conflict is, right? And your other family members that are toxic, sick, and dysfunctional, they get to use you as a projection screen whenever they don't want to be accountable or responsible for their own failures, mistakes, and shortcomings. This is where you come in. Now, I wasn't quite sure about where the term scapegoat came from, and I read that it was connected to Hebrew tradition, and there was a day on their calendar called the Day of Atonement. And on this day, a goat would be sacrificed as a way to atone for the sins of a nation. This is what happens to the scapegoat in a family, right? You are always being sacrificed again and again and again to make up for the errors in the ways of the family members that you are surrounded by. Now, something about being the family scapegoat, in my personal opinion, is a part of some type of divine design, right? And so if it never felt that way, that somehow it was divinely orchestrated, this season that you are about to step into, even if you don't realize that even being a scapegoat is a part of your calling, others that are about to watch you, right? Anybody who believed less about you, anybody that rejected you or ostracized you or stayed away from you or bullied you or gossiped you as a result of who you were portrayed to be by your own family members is about to essentially see you ascend in real time, and nobody is going to be confused about what's happening. So whether you call God, the Most High, Source, Universe, Creator, everybody is going to understand that the way your life is about to blossom and unfold, it can only have happened this way because God intended for it to occur like this. Now, you may have experienced a lot of harm, right? We're talking about emotional, psychological, mental, physical, many types of harm you experienced growing up in the family that you were attached to, but somehow you were preserved. Somehow you were delivered, right? And so there is a level of protection and favor that is over you, that is attached to your life, that has always seemed to kind of pull you through dark spaces or uncomfortable seasons where literally everything was against you and it didn't seem like you were going to be able to free yourself, right? And so I want you to know that being a scapegoat often comes with a type of blessing that does offer you favor, that does extend protection, right? That does remove you from certain levels of harm. Not that it won't return in some kind of way, but what I'm saying is that if you can hear this message, then you were spared, right? If you can hear this message, then the intention of those family members did not, it wasn't fruitful entirely because you were still here. Now, I do have a reading in the past. I think it was called Lazarus Enters the Chat. And so again, the energy of Lazarus comes. And so, Lazarus was dead, but then he was raised from the dead. And so this is what I'm talking about when I'm referencing deliverance from harm, protection, and favor. Many times in life, it may have appeared that you, like Lazarus, were done, no more, right? Now, that could have looked like a broken heart, a layoff, being fired, being injured, poor health. It could have looked like many things, right? But what I'm saying is, Lazarus had two sisters, Mary and Martha, and seeing their brother raised from the dead, it did something to them spiritually. One of them kind of just reaffirmed their belief and faith in Jesus and God, and the other one was like, I knew it, right? And so I feel like the family members that were attached to you that once looked at you and confirmed that there was no more life in you, they are about to see you rise. And so when you rise again into whatever this season of blossoming is for you, it is going to be clear that you were saved, you were spared, you were delivered, you were preserved, and there's only one entity that has the ability to do that, right? And so this is how people end up meeting the divine, right? They get to abuse you for years and years and years. And yes, it did have an effect on you, but the effect didn't do what they wanted it to do. Not only that, here you are years later, and you have just emerged into just a beautiful being inside and out, right? Where people love you and respect you, and they want to connect with you. Literally the family dynamic that you were born and raised in looks nothing like what life will become, and the relationships and the connections that you will have access to when you enter into your season of blossom. And so maybe you have siblings, whether it's two sisters like Lazarus or two brothers or whatever. The way your siblings are looking at you in awe and in shock, whether they're saying it to you or not, is because you have essentially been raised up, right? And so these same people who are watching you ascend are the same people who were at war with you, who wounded you, who battled you, who caused you pain, all kinds of pain, physical pain, right? Many times you probably were sitting in silence questioning, why am I experiencing this level of despair? What did I do to cause this? Is this, it almost seems like you were being targeted by the Most High. Like even the Most High has something against you, right? And you are going to question that many times in life when you are going through seasons of warfare. But what I'm seeing now is that anybody that caused you strife internally or externally is watching you, right? They are watching you. Now, in your own life, you may have seen death's hand touch many people, but somehow it didn't end you. You still have breath. Others may not, right? And so this is the idea of battle and conflict and drama that was supposed to end your ability to have a life of promise, right? And listen, Lazarus lay dead for 3 days before Jesus raised him. And so you could have been laying dormant for 3 months, for 3 years, for 3 decades, it doesn't matter. But for quite a while, those that brought the war and the strife and the pain to your door are now about to watch you walk out. It's like they had no idea who they were messing with. Now, they wouldn't have been able to endure anything that they sent your way. They wouldn't have been able to take it, right? Because they didn't have the protection. They didn't have the favor. I almost said flavor. Maybe they didn't have flavor. Maybe they're bland, But nonetheless, you were preserved. And so, the Most High kept you. And so my thing is at some point, as the family scapegoat, as somebody who constantly is just beaten and battled by life because of those connected to them, at some point you have to ask why. But your why should not be, what did I do? It should be, source, Most High, universe, what are you doing? Why is this necessary? What is this teaching me? What am I learning? And so what's coming up in this message is that all of the attacks and the pain and the grief and the sorrow and the wounds and any drama that you were removed from at some point, it only existed to teach you something. Everything is a lesson, even our pain. And so being a scapegoat, it taught you self-control. Right? Because when you're around a whole bunch of people who are waiting for you to say the wrong thing, look the wrong way, do the wrong. I mean, they are waiting for you to just mess up in some kind of way. It teaches you to kind of tighten up and to be mindful of what you think, what you say, how you act, right? You don't have the ability to relax and to be comfort in your own home. Home is war. You are in enemy territory when you are at home with your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad. That is actually the territory of the enemy. And so as the scapegoat, you learn how to protect yourself and how to armor up, essentially. And so what this taught you was self-control. You learned adjustment. You learned how to exist when people were kind to you, and then you learned how to exist when those same people were ruthless. You learn how to adjust. You learn how to live in moderation, right? As the scapegoat, you were never going to be the first person to receive anything. You probably many times achieved lots of things. You have a lot of accolades. You've done things that were remarkable. You've done things that your siblings and family members will never be able to say that they accomplished. But did you get recognition? Did you receive any reward? And so those type of exchanges with your family members, that's what teaches you moderation. How to live with less, how to not need so much, right? Because you're not going to get it in that family. You learn how to balance when dealing with others, right? You learn how to let stuff roll off your back, right? Because everybody is essentially looking to see you shift in your skin. They want to make you uncomfortable. It's almost like they prey on you. And I'm talking about grandmas and grandpas, old ass people that know better. But this is just who they are. And so this isn't just like the youth of the family. These are adults. And many times this started in your childhood when you were vulnerable and ignorant and weak and naive and you know what I mean? But nonetheless, it is being a family scapegoat in the family that you were assigned to. You, like Lazarus, you have been raised, and it was them who brought war to you again and again and again. And so the message is that one thing, all of that did something for you. Right? It did something for you, not only, and sometimes we have to say, this is happening for me, not to me, for me, not to me. And so it gave you self-control. It taught you how to adjust. It taught you how to live moderately, right? You understand how to balance your own energy when you are opposite other people and you're trying to deal with people in their own situations. You learned how to open your heart and open your mind, right? And balancing your own spirit and your physical experience. That's another thing. We are half human and half spirit. And so learning how to balance both aspects of your own being, I feel like you can learn that lesson a lot sooner when you are living in discomfort that is never ending. Right? It teaches you how to be patient with yourself because nobody around you is giving you that patience, right? And so I want you to know that people are considering you to be some type of earth angel, and you being raised from the dead, you walking into this season of prosperity where you just kind of bloom. It almost looks like a magic trick. But everybody knows that this is a divine magic trick because there is no one that can take credit for this except for the Most High, right? And so whatever is coming to you, this is commanded. This is law. This is divine rule. This is something that God has directed as something that should take place in your life, right? This is a part of this is necessary. There is no way around this. And so the reason why you were protected and favored and delivered from the harm of your family members, right, is because there is something coming to you. Now, I have the energy of Jupiter, right? Now, Jupiter is connected to the Wheel of Fortune, which is a tarot card, right? So let's just talk about Jupiter. Jupiter brings luck, growth, expansion. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about blossoming. optimism, abundance, and understanding. Now, it takes Jupiter about 12 years to orbit the sun, which means it spends about 12 to 13 months in each of the 12 zodiac signs. Right now, Jupiter is in Taurus. It will not exit Taurus until May 14th of 2025. So I say that to say, from the time that you hear this message, I want you to make a note from this moment until May, middle of May, May 14th of next year, because what you are going to see in your life is going to match the energy that I'm referring to in this message. Now, I also want you to consider the fact that I said Jupiter transits every 12 years. And so think about what you have gone through the past 12 years of your life. We talked about the energy of life feeling like war, of it feeling like pain, right? And so somehow the devastation that you have endured, possibly for 12 years, many will be more, but let's just talk, but Jupiter came out for some reason, right? And so whatever cycle you are experiencing, whatever 12-year cycle you are a part of, is about to go through some type of shift. And so now this is karma. You know what? The Wheel of Fortune, it talks about karma. Karma is not only good. It is what it needs to be. Karma is a return of energy. Now, the type of energy, it doesn't matter. Energy will be returned because it cannot be destroyed. And so you are entering into a new season, a new cycle of karma, right? And so your next 12 years are going to look nothing like your last 12 years. Now, I have the energy of, essentially, let's say that you are Lazarus and you were raised from what felt like death and pain and anguish and agony, right? It taught you what you needed to learn from it, right? It refined you. And here comes justice, here comes protection, here comes guidance, right? And we're talking about protection in love, in health, in prosperity. The storms are going to come, but you are not destined to perish, right? And so never think that protection and blessing and favor and salvation means that storms don't come. No, it means they're coming. You can count on them to come. Sometimes, because of your own divinity, you may know when they're coming. So you may know when it's time to shelter in place, right? Source will let you know what to do when, but the idea is that storms come to us all. But because of what's inside of you and because of the divine calling on your life, this storm is not going to be the last one. Now, you can celebrate that and you can see that as a win, or you can see that as something to be sad about. But if somebody told me this is not going to be your last storm, I feel joy. I feel joy because, one, it's not over. If I'm going to see more storms, then that means that I'm going to be surviving the storms that I've already been through in order to see the next one, right? These are all wins in my mind. Yes, I will be frustrated. Yes, it'll be hard. No, I may not always have the answers, but what I do know is that I'm going to end up on the other side of that storm. And so that is the energy that you are walking in. And so, the divine has almost ruled or regulated the fact that you are stepping into something that only could be given to you by the Most High. Nobody can stop it. Nobody can control it. All they can do is watch. Now, you will receive some type of energy. It's going to be like an influx of energy that is going to feel helpful. It will feel like joy. You will feel free and happy and successful. Not because you're doing anything, but it is just about the energy that you are carrying. It is going to be an energy of light, right? It is going to feel like unconditional love. You didn't have to do anything to get it. Just you being you. A lot of times being the scapegoat, even when you did something great, you didn't get a reward, right? But you definitely weren't going to get one, just for existing. Your existence was something that people acted as if it was a burden to them, right? But the reality is that they benefited from you. They actually benefited from you, right? And so now everybody gets to see the benefit of what it meant to be related to you, to have you as a brother, to have you as a sister, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin. Now people get to see who you were and why they should have just held on to the connection and respected it and honored it. And so the season that you are coming in, this joy, this happiness, this comes after war, right? And so the war is over. Yeah, you might be missing a leg or an arm, right? And I'm what I'm saying is, physically, you may be missing aspects of yourself. You may have had to lose or sacrifice parts of your own being while you lived amongst the family members and played the role as scapegoat. You may have lost a lot. And so when you show up to this new season, you may look like you have been through a war, but it is the fact that you are even showing up that is remarkable, because you weren't supposed to make it. So now when you step into this season of blossom, you are coming in with the energy of your soul. Your soul is wanting nothing more than to soar, right? So think about the years where your soul and your spirit wasn't able to reveal itself to you. You weren't really able to discover your journey or discover your path or figure out your why, right? You didn't have the time or the space to really search or look within, because it was a constant battle. Every day it was a battle. Yeah, you were spared, but you still had to go through it. And so you are almost going to be given a burst of energy that will kind of help you heal and help you recover from the things that you've endured, right? We're talking about new beginnings and new ideas, revelations, possibly adventures, but nonetheless, your spiritual strength is being renewed and it is at an all-time high. So although you are showing up bandaged and bruised on the outside, on the inside, you are born again. You are like Lazarus, right? And so for those of us that maybe are walking around in a body that we're not happy with, we're walking around in a body and we do have sickness and illness or scars, we've had surgeries, the way your vessel looks is not an indication of what's inside of it. And so forgive yourself for not always being at peace or for feeling comfortable in the body that you have, because it was that body that had to endure everything you've been through. And so if you don't always have a quality relationship with just the vessel that you were in, offer yourself grace. Forgive yourself for having that. It will take some time to kind of grow into yourself, now that you have the freedom to do so, right? But essentially, there is a spirit that is flowing through you, right? And it is going to feel like a force, but this force is inside of you because it is giving you a new sense of purpose. Whatever you were told your purpose was, or whatever you felt your purpose was, maybe you never felt like you had one. Right? Maybe you felt like you had no value because of the way you were treated. And that is okay. All of these things are a part of the journey. It is never anything to feel ashamed or guilty about. The journey is the journey. And the idea is to just learn. And my thing is that you have learned enough. And now it is time for the promotion. The divine trusts you. The fact that you can endure what you've endured from those that you possibly loved, right? The fact that you can endure that and not become the darkness that they sent to you, right? Sometimes these things are trust, because the thing is, like, if the Most High puts light inside of you, are you going to use it? Or are you going to get pissed off that somebody has treated you wrong and now you're on a rampage? And so sometimes when you are going through things, it is really to strengthen you. It's to give you grit. It's to make you almost indestructible. You're learning how to survive in harsh environments. You're learning how to adapt. You're learning how to be resilient. Right? And so you've gotten all the tools that you needed from your era, from your season as the family scapegoat. And now it ends. You will no longer have that title. You will no longer be connected to people or environments where that is the only role that you're allowed to play. That is of the past. And it was allowed while it did something for you, not to you. And now it ends. And so I feel like the people around you are like, WTF, right? And so one of the reasons why people are so shocked that you are coming back is because now only the truth will be recognized. Any lie that was told about you, anything that was spoken against it. And I mean, I think about my own family, and I think about the people that I'm connected to. And you know, people will say some stuff now. People will say some stuff. But anyway, sometimes you just got to wait on it. And that's patience. It's not waiting for people to be revealed. It's waiting for the Most High to be revealed, right? That's all. You're just waiting for God to show up. I'm just waiting for God. No, y'all go ahead. I'm good. I'm just waiting. And so justice is here. Protection is here. I do have the energy. I don't know who this specifically. Let me just say this. I have the energy of a Queen of Pentacles. Typically, this is going to be a woman that is loving and giving and affectionate, right? She can give love. She can receive love. But dire are the consequences if you betray her love and loyalty, right? And so this is what people are understanding. You were loving. You were charming. You were affectionate. You were innocent. You were gentle. You were understanding. You would have given anybody anything at any time. And they betrayed you. And what they will have to endure as a result of betraying you is not because you are doing anything to them, but this is the karma. This is the justice. This is the balancing of the scales, right? And so also want to mention, you could have been a person who may have been attractive. Like you could, no, may have been. I'm talking about aesthetically, physically, right? You may be attractive or charming. You may have some type of appeal. You know, there's something about you that kind of sets you apart energetically. And guess what? It could be physical too. But there is something about you that sets you apart from other people. And I think that there was envy and jealousy about something that you possessed, right? This is your divine light. There's something that you possess that people almost wanted to taint, right? And so this is where the truth comes in. You are generous and considerate and selfless and compassionate and friendly, right? And charming and warm. But nobody really had the ability to get to know who you were, because of all the things that were spoken over you. And so anybody that has said anything against the true character of your nature is going to have to now deal with the truth that is being revealed. And so we're talking about spiritual awakening. We're talking about not only you having clarity about your purpose, but everybody recognizing the value and the role that you were or are supposed to play in their life. Some people are going to be punished with not being able to talk to you, connect with you, or ever have any communication with you ever again. For some, that will be their punishment. Right? And so revelation of truth, we're talking about cosmic consciousness. There's this wake up call that people are going to be going through as a result of this karma that's happening and the expansion. You are going to grow in such a way that people won't be able to not witness it. You understand? And then this is how the lies are balanced. So this is something that's coming. When you are going through seasons of lack and loss and change and pain, like all the yuckiness, when you are living through all of those yucky seasons, a lot of people around you are going to be saying, oh, well, you must have sinned. You must have done something wrong. Oh, God is punishing you. God is, this is how people will speak about you when you are going through seasons of change. And whatever diagnosis people gave you about your own life, because apparently they know, whatever diagnosis they gave you about your life and however they shared it amongst others, they are going to look so foolish, right? Because you are evolving, right? You're making significant changes in any area of your life that you decide, right? Every change that is happening is a change that you have the ability to make happen, right? You are very careful and very wise about the judgment you make. And more than ever, you finally are able to trust what you know to be true. Being the family scapegoat, a lot of times you have to trust how people feel about you and what they say about you, because you're at the mercy of these people, right? And if they're withholding love from you, or not giving you affection, or not allowing you to have access to the same privileges that that other family members are, that you are going to wear that, and you are going to internalize that as meaning that something is personally wrong with you. You're going to feel like somehow you're defected. Right. And like, that's the idea. Like, that was their intention, to make you feel less than. And the reality is that you are more than these people could ever be. Right. I mean, they'll get there, but not in this life. That wasn't their calling in this life, but it's definitely your calling. And so whatever the illusions are, there had to be a certain amount. Let me say, gossip and slander is magic. That is spell work. A lot of people, well, I'm going to leave that there. Anyway, the illusions that were put over your life or spoken about you, everything that they were able to keep secret or hidden about who you were by way of literal sorcery or occult power, whatever magic they use to deceive others about you is all being balanced, right? And so now you're in this season of having harmony between your inner life and your surrounding life. So I kind of feel like during our season or life as a scapegoat, that was really about growing us internally. And so now that you have achieved whatever it is the Most High needed you to achieve in your own character and in your own core, you have gotten there. And so now it's time for your outer life to reflect who you are. And so this is balance, this is justice, this is karma, right? And justice and karma go hand in hand because it's literally about balance. Karma comes into balance. Listen, the universe has laws and nobody can get around them. Nobody can get around them. And so when we're talking about, the swing to the left and the swing to the right, I've mentioned this in another reading, but whatever you endured, you're going to match and you're going to experience the same energy, but it's just going to be the energy from a different polarity. And so if it was total devastation, right? All of that will switch. There will be a shift. There will be a balance. Energy moves, right? And so this is the energetic shift that you were going through. This is about you not being a person that took advantage of other people, right? You only took what was given. You only took what belonged to you. You treated people fairly. This is how you always were, right? Now, you didn't receive this back from other people, but this is who you always were. And so now in your life, it's almost like the magic is breaking. The spell is breaking. And so now your physical world gets to meet who you always were internally. Scapegoat. I did think of a story, but I was like, maybe it's too petty to talk about. But here's an example of something petty, but like a typical scapegoat experience. And so my stepmother told me that I was probably in middle school. I was no longer allowed to watch TV at night because it gave my brother nightmares. Now, our rooms are nowhere close to each other. All rooms have doors, and my TV it's on in the evening. Obviously, I go to bed a little later than maybe he was about 1 or 2 at the time, between 1 and 3. Anyway, I was told that he was starting to have nightmares, and it was because of my TV. And like, the way that made me feel, obviously, years and years ago, it wasn't good because I love him and I don't want to give him nightmares. But then how the fuck is my TV giving him like just the confusion and just but like little things like that. If anybody can identify with me, and it is petty, I'm not being petty, but I'm just trying to show you the level that people go to just make you guilty of something, right? No matter how stupid it is, it just gives them enough peace that they've attached it to you. Makes no sense. That's just an example of what it's like to be the family scapegoat. That's not the biggest one, but I want to show you how far people reach, right? And obviously you have your own experiences, but there is a shift. If there was dark arts or any type of sorcery or magic, occult power or deception, anything that was used to stop you or to hinder you, right? we are talking about karma. Y'all, I love karma. I do. And I don't like to see people go through the negative aspect of karma, but I just love to know that justice, it returns. Like, justice returns. And for many of us who didn't retaliate, who didn't defend ourselves, who kind of just watched and observed and allowed it to happen, not because we were weak, but because we were strong. Like, a lot of people think that sometimes lacking in your response means that you lack some type of power. But like, every demon is not worth fighting. I don't care if you are my stepmother or my father, or if every demon, not everybody deserves my energy. And even as a child, I kind of felt like I just knew when to be like, okay, right? In my mind, I'm like, you're a fool. But on the outside, I'm like, okay, I got it. These are those situations where every time you decided to turn the other cheek, every time you decided to just take it and be like, all right, cool. This is karma. Listen, there is a record. There is an energetic record of everything that you have ever lived through. And anybody that ever sent anything to you, or projected something onto you, or wished something for you, right? Or against you. These are the things that are being balanced and equaled out. And so for us to have the wheel of fortune, right? And truth to come out. And this is a part of what divinely is supposed to happen right now in this season. Y'all, this was when these cards came out on the table. Inside, I was like, finally, right? Because you know who you are. You know who you are, but sometimes you can't go around to all the people from all the different years that have been told something false about you and just kind of claim. No, sometimes you got to wait, because the way God does it is going to be so big and so obvious that nobody is going to miss it. Everybody is going to get the message about who you are at the same time, right? Because of whatever you're stepping into, whoever you are expanding into, whatever you're, whatever is about to grow for you, it will be seen by those who thought that you, like Lazarus, were done. They thought you were done, and they thought life was over for you. But the reality is that your physical life just hadn't sprouted yet. They were looking at you, and internally everything was happening, right? You were growing and achieving and understanding and expanded, but it was happening on the inside, in your own character, in your own spirit, in your own soul. And so all of your internal parts are beautifully where they need to be. And now it's time to get the physical world to match what and who you are within. I think that's beautiful. And as a family scapegoat, listen, from the day you got here, you were attached to your family. So this could be a lifelong experience that is finally starting to be balanced out. And because we have Jupiter and the significance of the 12-year transit, even if this is something that you endured the majority of your life, I just want you to think about, was there anything significant that happened 12 years ago that kind of set the stage for, you playing the role of the family scapegoat? Did something, just think about whenever cards come up and I know that there's a time frame attached, I enjoy it because it just helps me kind of piece things together a little more. But this is the moment that I think many who identify with being the family scapegoat have been waiting for. And if you have seen the number 345 or any type of number where it ascends, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, all of those numbers are beautiful messages about you taking steps in the right order along your path, right? Now, don't get scared if you see 543 or 321 or 876. It doesn't mean you're going backwards, right? But I'm just saying, specifically for this message, anybody that can identify with seeing numbers rising in ascending order, I think that is special to the season that you are walking into. So thank you for listening to this message. I love you, and I will see you on the next one.